Boston has lost some big free agents recently. Jackie, what does this extension signal to Celtics fans coupled with Gordon Hayward's departure?
Well, I can tell you it's been a very rugged few days for Celtics fans, and I think what this signals, Rachel, is there was a little buzz after Gordon Hayward left and the Celtics got nothing. Remember now, the third player in the last two seasons to walk. Kyrie Irving before him and Al Horford before him as well. And I think there was some buzz around the league. Do people not want to play in Boston? I think Jason Tatum is saying, you pay me the max? I'll be very happy to play here, and I'll be your cornerstone. And so there's a sigh of relief here in Boston because he's the most important player. This was a no-brainer for the Celtics to try to get this done.
Yeah, big picture, the story of the Celtics season was Jason Tatum emerging as a legitimate all-NBA level superstar. What this contract signals is, here you go. This is what you get paid if you're a legitimate all-NBA level superstar. And to Jackie's point, it's a reminder that, boy, that trade with Brooklyn, talk about a trade that changed the landscape of the NBA and still ripples to this day, because Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are in Boston because of that trade, and they're really the only constants. Al Horford's gone, Gordon Hayward's gone, Kyrie Irving's gone, Isaiah Thomas is gone. Those two are the franchise now, and as long as they're there, Boston is going to be relevant and really good in the East. But boy, without that Brooklyn trade, it's hard to imagine where they'd be.
Exactly.
Well, listen, I understand people had concerns, but I didn't, and here's why. Without those guys leaving, Gordon Hayward, Kyrie Irving, Al Horford, we wouldn't have got a chance to see the full potential of Jason Tatum. They were just in his way, and then all of a sudden he took off. He took off towards the last part of the season, right around the All-Star break, and he started to reach superstar status. And now, guess what happened? Everybody's moving. Gordon Hayward left. They got money on the table. Danny Ainge and Wick Grossbeck and Steve Pagliuca, that's what they did. Time to back up the Brinks truck. And they paid this man. This is the new Paul Pierce of the Celtics, right? He's going to be the franchise guy for the next 10 years. The Boston fans should be happy. They have a pure stud in Jason Tatum, well-deserved, and I feel very comfortable with him leading the franchise.
Well, if Jason Tatum can get his number hung in Boston Garden, win a Finals MVP, and do everything else that Paul did for the Celtics, it will certainly be a good career for him. And Jackie, my instinct is that, hey, Kyrie, Al Horford, Gordon Hayward, each of those players had pretty specific situations, extenuating circumstances, things around them. But is there any concern about the Celtics franchise losing these guys for nothing? Or do you just look at them individually and say, hey, I get it in each situation?
Well, your point's a good one, Rachel. I mean, Kyrie, who can ever explain what's going on in Kyrie's head? And Al Horford left for a situation that he thought was going to help him closer to a championship. Of course, that turned out not to be true at all, and it all imploded. Gordon Hayward, I understand why he did this. He wanted to spread his wings. You know, he had these catastrophic injuries that were all freak injuries. I do not consider him injury prone, and I know that seems like a crazy thing to say. But by the time he did get back and got a chance to be healthy, these other guys have passed him. And so if he wants to be an all-star again, it's not going to happen in Boston. So maybe it can happen for him in Charlotte. But if you're the Boston Celtics and you're a fan of the Boston Celtics, it still pretty much stings when guys are leaving. If you're going to build a foundation of a great franchise, you don't want people walking out the door, and that's what's happening.
Well, it will be interesting to see as they go forward. Going off that Tatum extension, I want to get to a bigger picture because the 2017 draft class in general has been cashing in. We've had extensions all over the board, but one notable exception, Bam Adebayo. Now, we assume the Heat are trying to maintain cap flexibility for 2021, but Zach, is there pressure on the Heat to extend Bam now? And what are you hearing from Bam and his agent about what their expectations are for this offseason?
Well, it certainly doesn't help the Heat's argument that maybe Bam should wait, that everyone else is not waiting. But this is a massively important issue because if Bam signs that max extension now, the Heat's cap situation is such that they might have to trade almost everybody up to and including Tyler Hero, according to Bobby Marks, who I checked with today, just to fit Giannis' supermax or Giannis' max or anybody else's max, should that come to pass. We don't know if that will even be an opportunity for them. So, yeah, I think Fox, Tatum, and on, signing Donovan Mitchell, signing these contracts does put pressure on the Heat. I think the Heat and Bam and his team will meet this week, and we'll get news out of that meeting. And, Bam and Giannis actually have the same agent, so that's another tricky dynamic part to all this. We'll see how much pressure they exert.
Zach, I understand what you're saying, and I get it that, the Miami Heat still might have hopes that they could possibly land Giannis. But my grandpa used to tell me you can never pass up some for show trying to get some more. And here it is, you have a young stud in Bam who was a first-time All-Star. The sky's the limit for him. He should get his paper. He deserves it. If you're the Miami Heat and you sign Myers Leonard to a 2-year, $20 million deal, and you look at a guy like Bam and what he did in his regular season and how he elevated his game in the playoffs, it's time to pay that man what he's worth. He deserves every single dollar. Let's get it done. Y'all need to make sure that he's one of the center points of the franchise, and don't depend on a what if, and take the for sure that's right there in front of your face, and that's Bam.
Okay, Perk, that's all well and good, but first of all, let's not compare Myers Leonard's situation to Bam, because that doesn't make any sense to me. If you're Bam and the Heat come to you and say, you are our cornerstone, we're going to take care of you, we swear, but we want to help you win a championship, and if you can be patient just a little longer, we want to see how this plays out so we can have Giannis next to you and you can win a championship together. I don't think that's unreasonable from a franchise point of view. Now, if it gets to a point where Bam and his agents say, listen, fish or cut bait, then you have a decision to make. But to buy a little time here, Giannis hasn't made up his mind yet, as far as we know. We haven't certainly heard one way or another whether he's going to sign that Supermax. It's just prudent on everybody's part to wait a little longer.
Well, yeah, Jackie. I was just going to say, Perk, that Zach made the point that Giannis and Bam have the same agent. So there is someone involved here who is very familiar with Giannis's thinking. So I certainly understand the idea of not rushing into this over this past weekend until they see how things play out with Giannis and the Bucks over the course of the next few weeks. That being said, and Jackie, look, we can all look at the numbers and say, yes, it would be better for the Heat as an organization if they can have Bam wait. They do give him that full reward next offseason that will give them more flexibility. If Giannis, or frankly, an opportunity for another big free agent comes in to help him in 2021. But with all the injuries you have seen around the league, major injuries to major players, if you were on the other side of that, as you point out, Jackie, really good speech from the Heat, very prudent, makes a lot of sense, would you still feel comfortable taking that risk?
Right. That's a fair point, and we'll have to wait and see. It really is a literally wait and see thing. And I'm not saying, you wait forever. If you're Bam and his agent, at some point, you're going to say, listen, we've tried to play this game with you, and now we need to get paid. And everybody would respect that.
Well, Jackie, I wasn't comparing Myers Leonard and Bam in that type of way. What I'm saying is, if you're going to compensate Myers Leonard to $10 million a year, then you definitely have to take in consideration and get one of your franchise centerpieces out the way. That's my point. I know Bam is probably ready, and this is the problem with guys like Bam and Giannis in this situation having the same agent, because you just never know. It could be so many hidden agendas behind this, and this is why sometimes agents lose clients, because they may lean towards one way and give one client bad advice to help another client out. So this is the sticky part of the situation when you're dealing with agents that have the same client and you dealing with hundreds of millions of dollars in an MVP type player.
But that's unavoidable, Perk. I mean, Kevin Durant's the only one I can think of that has one agent, Rich Kleiman, that has no other clients. Almost all of, I forget who your agent was, but I'm sure he had multiple clients. That's just how it works in the NBA.
I actually think
to Rachel's point, if you ask Bam to wait, right? If you ask Bam to wait and say, we're going to give you all the money in a year, you better damn well mean it. You better mean it if he tears his Achilles, God forbid. Yeah. You better mean it if he has a bad season by his standards or something like that. You better give him everything, because to Rachel's point, I see no reason for any player to wait when the money is there for them. Bam has earned it by any standard. His playoff performance, he's an all-NBA level player. He has earned it. So if you say you wait, you better mean it. You better give it to him no matter what.
Yeah, and look, I actually think it's to Bam's advantage in this case that he has the same agent as Giannis Perk. I would say that gives him a window into the thinking of the big domino piece that might be affecting his situation. So I think it's actually good for Bam that Alex is both the agent for him and for Giannis, but it is interesting, and it is a case of what might be best for the team big picture versus what might be best for the player, which then again, the next offseason turns into